Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Computer Videos, it seems. How are you doing today? I am behind the 8 ball. So you see, last week was VCF Midwest, and I posted a couple of videos about it, which if you saw them, great. If you haven't seen them, maybe watch them first before you watch this one. Granted, one of them is like, oh gosh, like 2 hours long or something like that. But there's nothing that says that you can't watch it in a window that takes up 25% of your screen at 50% volume at no more than 4x, and for me to still get credit for it. Those are watch hour numbers I can deal with. But anyway, maybe take a look at those first and then come back and watch this one. But I'm just going to tell you right now, I took a ton of pictures this year and I didn't take a lot of video, which is okay, I guess. This is probably the most documented year of VCF Midwest that I've ever seen. It seems like everybody and their uncle was out there with like a high-end camera rig taking photos. I know Jeremy from Jeremy's Retro Bar brought in his little camera slidey bit. It's going to be super cinematic, I know. And so I will leave the high quality production stuff up to people with the talent and the tools to do all of those things. Me, myself, I'm just going to make some little simple videos, and that's what I actually kind of did. So like I said, it's mostly photographs and stuff. I'll probably do a follow-up video maybe next week or something that'll show like gets. In years past, people have been really nice. They've given me some things at the show. Things have been kind of okay where I'll find some things that I'd really like to purchase. But last year I didn't really buy anything. It was sort of, I think it was like the first year in the space. People didn't really know what to expect. The price of lodging was a little bit more if you stayed at the host hotel. So I think things were a little tighter last year. But this year it feels like people were pretty loose. Prices were really good. And people generally just had a good time. So how about I just go through and I'll show you some of my photos, and then we'll just regroup from there. All right, so let's just go through the photos. I've got some videos. It's an iPhone, so it also includes like that little 3 to 5 second clip on everything. But I've got some longer clips. We'll talk about those at the end. But anyway, welcome to Vintage Computer Festival Midwest 20, taking place in September of 2025. I know it's confusing, just hang with me. Anyway, the night before, I loaded so much junk in my car that I had to reach out to Alan, my friend, who typically attends this event with me, that, hey man, pack light. That was what the text said. Thankfully, Alan did not have a ton of stuff, but we rearranged, we made everything fit. But we went ahead and hit the road and got up there. Here's Alan. We're standing in the lobby of the hotel waiting on other people to show up. It's a really nice venue. It's a, kind of just a huge convention center up there, and I think it actually is just called the Schaumberg Convention Center. I don't know who controls what you can call your business, but these guys seem to have it locked down. This is the view from the room. It's, as you can see, we are IKEA adjacent, but we did not go and eat any of those rancid meatballs. But it's kind of neat because the structure that you kind of see here is the skylight for the sort of the lobby and all of that down there. But here's the schedule for things that were going on. As you can see, there's a thing on there. It just says my name, but this Steve and I both did a presentation that was all about kind of collecting and upgrading Power Macintosh machines. But there were lots of really, really great talks during the day. I know that Jay Graham had a talk. I know that there were lots of great stuff, regardless of whatever your interest was. It was pretty cool. The bald engineer, James Lewis, had some stuff. It was pretty good. Here is the table layout for the event. As you can kind of see, it's massive, and it just gets bigger and bigger every year. The breakdown on where tables are, this is really nice, so you don't have to wander around with your phone. Sometimes there's not a lot of data to be had in the venue, so it is nice that you can actually go up somewhere and kind of track down where people are sitting. This was a humongous Microsoft IntelliMouse, I think is what they were calling them at this time. But this thing is like massive. This would have been a store display or something. But I did a little short on this where, I mean, I just go up and click it, and like my hand barely covers one of the buttons on it. Shady Tell. This is kind of a neat thing that goes on there at VCF Midwest. You can actually get phone service to your table, where that way that you can actually plug in a phone and you can pick it up and you can call other desks. They've got voicemail. You can just kind of have some phone freak fun. They have a really cool setup in the middle of the room, and if you are interested in phone systems, you definitely need to go and talk to these guys. They even had cell phone access this year for old, like I think Edge and analog devices maybe. And they have all of the appropriate cosplay stuff in place, because they had some wiring stuff going across a kind of a main thoroughfare, so they had some signage up so that way that people wouldn't hit their heads. Here is Eric's Edge. Taylor and Amy were playing a joke on him. They came by, they dropped their table banner on his desk. He showed up a little bit late. When he showed up, he was just kind of like, hey, what's going on? Because it's Eric. Oh, there he is. But kind of on setup, Clint was there, LGR. Really nice guy. His brother was there getting all the footage and things like that because Clint was busy all weekend. This is the new and shinier Clint, but he seemed to be having a good time. And also I'm wearing my Ron's Computer Videos NPR shirt. Here is my table. This took a long time to set up and get this all kind of where I wanted it to be. There are some improvements and stuff that I'll make on it over time, but this is all of the 100 series PowerBooks, starting with the PowerBook 100 all the way down to the PowerBook 190. It's the only thing that's not on the table is the black and white PowerBook 190, and that's mostly because I just figured that 12 on the table look a lot nicer than 13. But all the little cards have all of the specs on the machine, when they were available for sale. There's some stuff that I want to add to that for next year because people were asking me pricing information, so that probably needs to be on there. I've got that really cool PowerBook poster there at the bottom. I picked that up. There was a former Apple employee that was advertising that he had a number of those left from when he worked for Apple, and I was lucky enough to pick one up. Here is Mackie. This is the Macintosh Librarian's booth. She had a lot of neat stuff there to check out, including a dual page display. My sympathies for anyone's back who had to pick up that monitor and move it all the way from her base of operations. But it was really neat, and they actually had a little interactive thing with Mackie where you could go up and talk to him, and he would respond to you and answer questions and stuff. So they had there was just a ton of responses that he could give. Like you could say, like, what's your favorite color, or what's your favorite class at school, or what's your favorite Macintosh, or who do you watch on YouTube? And it was a different answer every time. There were several different responses that he would give. So this is a really neat use of technology and stuff to have a fun interactive exhibit. While we were there, there was a ton of old machines that you could kind of check out, including this Canon Cat. This is a Jeff Raskin idea. This is what the Macintosh could have been if they had decided to keep a focus on word processing as being like the killer app for the machine. But Jeff Raskin designed this machine, and basically this was his baby, and then the Macintosh project got taken away from him, and he left and took his design over to, or his ideas rather, over to Canon. So these are really rare, and I had some video, and I think I'll post that at the end. But I love this machine. It's such an interesting piece of industrial design, and it's really kind of a lucky thing to actually get up to be able to bang on the keys and check it out. There were a lot of cool tables that encouraged you to dig this year. And I really like that a lot, where it's just like, here's boxes of stuff. It feels, some of them had a very curated feel, some of them had the flea market feel. I like the flea market tables. It makes me remember what these shows used to be years and years ago. Some people just don't have the bandwidth to like label everything, so you can get up there and you can haggle, but there were lots of stuff that had prices on it. Last year, that was kind of a weak point, is that people they didn't have a lot of pricing on stuff. You had to ask people, and if somebody's not at their table, then you're tracking them down, and then you find out that it's not the deal you were looking to make or whatever. So yeah, but no, they had good deals. They had pricing on things. It's pretty good. There were a lot of just in general vintage technology at the event, including this Edison wax cylinder player, as well as a phonograph. And they were spinning wax. They were literally letting you listen to the wax cylinders. They were letting you listen to records and things like that there, and answer any kind of questions you've got. I think I made a YouTube short about this as well, and I think people were like, "Oh, it sounds like SpongeBob music," and yeah, it kind of did. This I think was Friday night, going out to eat. This is our friends from Juicy Crumb, our friends from Australia, local friends, people from all over the U.S., kind of from right to left, the people in the foreground there. It's me, it's Adrian from Juicy Crumb. It's next to him is Jeremy from Jeremy's Retro Bar. Across the way, that's Jono, that's Alan, and everybody's favorite Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, and then I386SX. The folks in the back were deep in conversation. But there was a bit of an impromptu practice session for the stop bits that took place in the lobby that day. You can see Amy is there filming those guys, and then there's Kate and everybody hanging out. While I was there, I found a copy of Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, which I went ahead and picked up because I recently interviewed one of the programmers and bigwigs over there at Broderbund, and so I thought that it would be kind of neat to just have a boxed copy of this. And he's the gentleman there on the right that is catching the fainting lady. This right here was really cool. That right there, that's John Calhoun. He is the author of Glypha and Pararina, and maybe most well known for Glider for the Macintosh. He stopped by the booth. It was kind of a surprise that he was going to be at the show, but he reached out and just said, "Hey, if you're going to be there, I'm going to be there, and it would sure be great to come by and say hi." And so I was really glad that he did, and got a picture. Super nice guy. I'm wearing my Quadra 700 Jurassic Park shirt there. Also got to meet Jeff. Jeff's a really nice guy. If you are one of the 3 people on Earth that are still not subscribed to his YouTube channel, you should definitely do that. He basically just kind of hung around and helped people. He didn't have a booth. He didn't have a table. He didn't do a talk. He just kind of was there to check it out. And before you ask, his dad was not able to make it. There's Kate and John chewing the fat about Macintosh stuff. And here they are again. I took a couple pictures because I know Kate is sometimes kind of shy about asking for photos. So I was like, hey, you got some pictures with John Calhoun. This is Mrs. MacFX. She was very kind. Always, it's great to see her at these shows. She's always with Mark, and they're running the booth, or they're running around, just checking on people, asking if people need things, buying people a water. Mark's a really nice guy. She's really great. They really add a lot to the community, and so it's always good when you see them. There was, sorry for the weird angle on this one, but there was someone that was selling 3D printed replicas of different processors for vintage computers, including this 6502 ceramic. I bought one of these and gave it to Joe because I thought he would really appreciate it. Here's something else that's neat that happened. I ran into Jason Heiser. He's one of those cool people in the community, a booster, somebody that's always helping people out, taking pictures. He's got a lot of really great vintage software, including a copy of Creepy Castle by Bill Appleton. This is one of my absolute favorite games for the Macintosh, and he just happens to own a copy. The box itself is kind of neat. It is probably about the size of a VHS box, but we were sitting in the cafe, or the kind of cafe in the hotel one day, and he just stopped by the table and was showing things off. Really nice guy. I need to talk to him about his collection at some time. Oh, here's me and John again. He was very nice to take pictures and let me fanboy a little bit. Here is Adrian and Adrian. And Adrian is signing the faceplate for a Twiggy Lisa for Adrian from Juicy Crumb. And I think that they're going to do some manner of fundraiser or maybe like a raffle or something at some point in the future. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on things and see that. But it's always nice to see Adrian. Adrian was there and just, being himself, just social butterfly, running around, checking out people's tables, eventually putting on the lab coat and being Dr. Adrian at the event. And so it's always good to see him. Here's the Canon Cat actually powered on, and people were over there, just typing away. It's a really neat machine. It's pretty high resolution. It's got like the bitmap graphics and stuff there at the bottom. I don't really understand how it works because it uses a lot of sort of symbolic key or like key press kind of things to do the different functionality. So I've never really, quote, like used one, but I've always really appreciated them. And there were also, at an adjoining table, a bunch of things like here's a Lisa with an LCD screen and a replacement faceplate that kind of, lets you look inside and see the drives and stuff. So an LCD Lisa is kind of a neat plan, especially if you've got a dead CRT in your machine. But here's Jerry Ellsworth. Here is John Calhoun. We all went to dinner that evening. I think this is probably Saturday, and they got to sit and chat and talk industry stuff. Jerry is really great. If you haven't met her, just go up to the event. Don't be, don't feel weird about it. She's super sociable. Here is me and Wooden Gamer. Really nice guy. Actually filled out a bunch of gaps in my Newton collection a couple of years ago. So good to see you as always. Here is John Adar. John is one of those people in the Apple II community. X-Drive. Go get an X-Drive. Here's Javier. Javier was there. He had all of his neat 3D printed things. He even had Lisa boxes this year. He made some reproduction Lisa boxes, and at the end of the show actually gave them away to people that own Lisas. It was really nice. Nice guy. Here is Jeremy from Jeremy's Retro Bar. This was one of the few minutes that he wasn't running around filming stuff. I cannot wait to watch his video. I'm sure it's going to look amazing. Here is Mark. Mark is a kind of a vintage computing enthusiast from out there in the Portland area. Here's Ryan. He is one of those Macintosh people that stays on top of all the updates and stuff on the very latest hardware and software changes. Nice guy. Here is Tom Barber. Everybody knows Tom. When he's not causing trouble, he is one of my good friends here in the Mac community. But there's Dana of Dana Does Stuff. But Dana had a bunch of neat stuff on display. Here is Jerry and Amy, and they were fun to hang out with. It's always good to see those guys. They're at more and more shows. I think that that Amy maybe at first was kind of like, I don't know about these folks, but the more and more stuff that everybody attends, the more that we kind of become a big family. Everybody knows this guy. You know this guy? Because I know this guy. It's Steve. And eventually Steve and I are going to do an interview about all the stuff that used to be Mac Hack, if you're familiar with any of that. So I'm looking forward to talking to him. There's June. June had a cool booth set up where she was actually teaching people how to do different graphical things on like the 5150, I think. But it was kind of neat to see like an actual instruction on the floor of the event. So And she also had a cool T-shirt for some cookies that I remember from like the 90s. But I think this ended up winning the best booth and this was put on by the Retrotech Foundation. They it's like a kid's room with bunk beds and things like that, but it had all these Macs and stuff in there and kind of a snapshot of the 90s. It was really neat. I saw a lot of people in there over the weekend sitting in there and playing around and doing stuff, so it's pretty fun. There was a booth that had a lot of vintage sort of broadcast equipment, including this giant cassette tape that basically was could hold I don't know, I think they said like 30 minutes of video or something like that, but it moves really, really fast because it's higher resolution stuff. But they actually had a reel-to-reel setup there that actually had HD video on it, and I did a short about that too. Don't forget Superphone B put on a concert that was sort of like the opening for the Stop Bits on Saturday evening. It was kind of fun. It was kind of when I bumped into her, I was like, "Hey, tell me about what your concert's going to be." I said, "Is it sort of like vintage electronica and stuff like that?" And she goes, "That doesn't even start to cover it," and it didn't. It didn't start to cover it. You can go over to Superphone on YouTube and you can watch she did a video that's kind of a VCF Midwest retrospective video of her experience at the convention this year, and there's a bunch of footage there from her concert. And that's B. And there were a lot of like collection sort of fun things too. Electronics, like from the DeLorean. As you can see, Dave there, he always wears a suit when he goes into the office. Don't you know that, Marty? Come on. But just fun things. So Mad Scientist Union, Local 3.14. I can't remember what all was at that table, but it was definitely vintage. There's Scott. Scott brought the Macintosh Lab, and that was kind of fun to check all that out. I think it was like 12 machines, and quite a few of them were playing like the networked version of Oregon Trail, so that way that everybody could kind of play against one another and see who could get there first. It was something for classrooms, kind of in the 90s. I've played around with it once or twice. I'd really like to do something like that all over Global Talk. Juicy Crumb also had their M4 Cube add-on available there where you could check it out. They did as you can read there, they did a collaboration with Luke Miani about it, where basically it is a kind of recreating the G4 Cube, but using your M4 Mac Mini. There's Adrian's booth. As you can already see, he's sold out. He is sold out of all of his little floppy disks. Those went almost immediately. There is Sean, the star of Action Retro. Really nice guy, part of the Stop Bits. He was hanging out of this booth a little bit, but man, he was out and about this year, just going and checking things out. Nice guy. Hope he had a good time. There's Jay Graham. You may not recognize Jay without his glasses, but he recently had cataract surgery, so he's got all that stuff corrected. So this is like the first time in 40 years where he hasn't wore glasses, and he says he loves it. There's Sloopy Malibu. Snuck up on Sloopy. It was good to see him at the event. He and his son came and seemed to have a pretty good time. They wandered around quite a bit. There's Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. There's Eric Helgeson from the Blue Scuzzy Project. Blue Scuzzy had a big presence this year. It was kind of nice that there was a lot of stock, and they seemed to do some pretty good sales. Again, there's i386SX, Jamie. There's Thomas Cherryholm from the FujiNet Project. There's Nicholas. Don't forget that, as you can see right there on his shirt, that the VCF Montreal is coming up in January of 2026. If you find yourself in New York, or you find yourself in Montreal, or you find yourself just somewhere with a lot of international travel miles on your airline stuff, maybe give it a check. Maybe check the event out. But there was some neat sort of prototypey kind of things like these dual drives for the Commodore machines that were kind of neat. Everybody knows Jason. Here's Dan and the gang over there at Classical Computer Laboratory. Occasionally you could find Kevin when he wasn't hanging out at his PC 110 booth. There's been a bunch of new innovations and discoveries in that community, and there was even a little talk about that there at the event. Rick from Rick's Random Retro. It's always good to see Rick at these events too. I don't know if he really bought very much, but he seemed to have a good time. And of course Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Crazy Ken's stack of old machines. This was something neat that somebody brought by my table and showed off. It is a battery-powered Bernoulli drive. So if you have a Macintosh Portable or something like that, you actually could just charge up this little device and then, basically just use it on the road. I am sure that there was some executive somewhere that was like, oh my gosh, you don't understand like how much I need something like this. I can't even imagine. But there's Princess Ariana. She was there. She was showing things off at her booth. She actually had, I think it was like 2 Commodores set up with a modem, trying to do some sort of head-to-head gaming. At the end of the event, Shady Tail comes by and drops off fake bills for like all of your charges and things like that. Every call, they kind of track all that stuff. So it's kind of funny. It's a kind of like all the joke stuff on it's really good. But here's Mike. Here's somebody else from the Portland area that came out to just kind of check out the event for the first time. And on Sunday night after the event wrapped up, we went over to Galloping Ghost. That's over there in Brookfield. They have a couple of different storefronts that they have occupied over the years, and this is kind of the big one. This is where all the arcade stuff is. And they also have a kind of a business office down the street where they do repairs and all that type of stuff. And then they have another place that this is just the pinball location. I've only been to the place where they have the arcades. I've never been down to the pinball place. I need to get down there next year. But we also stopped by this place. They had a lot of amazing sort of Eastern European food on their menu. It was funny that the wait staff there, we had a big party of people, but there was a bit of a billing dispute at the very end, but the food was great. The service was amazing. If you find yourself in Brookfield, you should definitely stop by. But here's us at our giant table taking up most of the space in the restaurant. And we finally went back to the arcade after we ate, and I got to take a picture of Daytona USA with my Performa USA shirt. Here's the G4 Cube with the Juicy Crumb sort of G4 or M4 Cube. And this is upside down, but you'll see it was really cool to bump into the Tom Servo, one of the stars of Mystery Science Theater, Mr. Kevin Murphy. On Monday morning at the teardown, I bumped into Sean out in the parking lot packing all of his stuff up. But we got everything packed up and got on the road. And before we came back all the way home, we stopped by Micro Center, and it appears that they had 3D printed a quote life-size ET, and I thought that was really neat. I wanted to share that with you. But that's pretty much for the slideshow. I'm just going to go ahead and stick video clips and stuff after this. Of course, on Retro Repair Roundup, we'll probably have a sort of a wrap-up video where we'll tell stories and things like that, and I'll share some more stuff over there. But anyway, thanks for checking this out. Hey everybody, it's Ron with Ron's Computer Videos. I was just calling to check in with you and...
Well, no, but he's talking just for spacing. Otherwise, if they have no, I don't know if we're running out. We probably are.
We can talk. He's not going to use any of the audio.
That wouldn't get old at all. That's the worst input device.
Come on, let's have a drink. How about a little drink? How about another drink?
So I have to go to the one of the two bars. I've only met Veronica today for the first time.
Dan Sanderson's going to be on the second track from Schaumberg Illinois, and he's going to be doing his Mega 65 Digest 2025. It's also an open mic room that some programming in there is already signed up. That's going to begin in the afternoon.
Well, of course, it's a ticket. But seriously, what a sign is it? It gives you a number.
Oh, they have the I.O. device. Optics of the video. So the battery system. $1,000 to the whole setup. So it's fine. I would say that's because it's still straight. It's 1035i. It's on old format. Early 90s. That looks like this one at about 45 inches per second.
Oh, yeah.
It's a single speed unit. So your tape doesn't last very long at that speed. But that's what you
Yeah, not 13.
It's funny. I was
passing all through the PCB. It's a fun nightmare or a nightmare. All my life.
Thank you.
Hey!
Send it off in a letter to yourself. Break it up.
And that's really it. That's my VCF Midwest 20 experience in a nutshell. I just took a lot of pictures and took a lot of clips of video that kind of show behind the scenes stuff at the event. Don't worry, MIDI karaoke will probably be executed better next year, so that way that we can have more fun singing horrible wedding songs with one another. But that is really it for the moment. There's so many stories and so many experiences and things that I've already forgotten, but the one thing that I'll remember is that I can't wait to go back next year, and I hope to see you there.